Did you know that 65% of people remember a story better than a list of facts? That's right, storytelling is one of the most powerful tools you can use to grab attention. But here's the twist: most storytellers don't realize they're missing one key ingredient, the right structure. Why is structure so important? A well-structured story can boost your audience's emotional connection and make your message stick. Think about it. Why do we remember movies like The Dark Knight or books like Harry Potter? It's not just the characters, it's the way the story is built. In fact, according to the narrative arc by Lisa Cron, stories with strong structures are 35% more likely to be remembered and talked about. In this guide, we're going to unlock the secrets of story structure, without all the jargon. You'll discover how to craft a story that keeps people hooked from start to finish. From the pivotal, game-changer moment to the subtle symbols that make your story unforgettable, we'll cover it all. Ready to make your story unforgettable? Let's dive in. Chapter 1: The Backbone, Building Your Story's Skeleton. Every great story needs a strong foundation. The backbone of your narrative is the structure. Without it, your story will fall apart. Think of structure like the frame of a house. It holds everything together. The three-act structure, often referred to as setup, confrontation, resolution, is a classic starting point. But don't be afraid to play with it. Some stories thrive with nonlinear or fragmented structures. Look at movies like Pulp Fiction, where the timeline is jumbled, but it works. In fact, according to a 2015 study in psychology of aesthetics, creativity, and the arts, people remember stories better when they're nonlinear because they engage the brain more. Consider introducing a series of twists and turns early on, but remember, every plot point should lead to another, like a domino effect. Build tension in Act 1, escalate it in Act 2, and resolve it in Act 3. This will give your audience something to look forward to. A strong structure sets the rhythm for your narrative. Keep it flexible, but let the core be clear. Chapter 2: The Heartbeat, Creating Emotional Arcs that thump. Stories are not just about events, they're about emotions. Emotional arcs are what connect your audience to your characters. If there's no emotional growth, there's no real story. In a study by the Harvard Business Review, people who felt emotionally connected to a story were 30% more likely to remember it. Every character's journey should mirror an emotional rise and fall. Think about your favorite movies. Their most memorable moments are often emotional turning points. These arcs don't need to be overly dramatic. Sometimes, small, subtle changes, like a character learning to trust, can make all the difference. Emotional arcs give your audience something to root for. If the audience feels like the character is making real progress, they'll care more about the outcome. One great trick is to introduce a low point for your protagonist. Just when they seem to have everything under control, make everything fall apart. This heightens the emotional payoff when they overcome their struggles. Chapter 3: The Spark, Generating Conflict. From the unseen. Conflict is the engine that drives your story, but it doesn't always have to be visible. A well-crafted conflict can be quiet and still make waves. Think of stories with internal struggles, like Inside Out. The battle between Riley's emotions isn't something that can be seen, but it's central to the plot. Unseen conflicts are often more gripping because they pull on the psychological strings of your audience. The secret here is to hint at these conflicts early. Drop small clues, like a passing comment or a brief moment of hesitation. This builds anticipation. For example, in The Godfather, the true conflict isn't just the mafia power struggle. It's Michael's internal conflict between family loyalty and personal integrity. According to the narrative patterns of film by David Edgar, the unseen conflict is often what makes a story feel more authentic. It's real life, a mix of what's visible and what's hidden under the surface. If you're finding this guide helpful so far, don't forget to subscribe to get more tips on storytelling. We'll dive deeper into more advanced techniques in the next chapters. Chapter 4: The Catalyst, Crafting that one game-changer moment. What sets your story in motion? The catalyst. This is the moment when everything changes. It's often unexpected and jolts your protagonist out of their comfort zone. For example, in The Lion King, Simba's life turns upside down the moment Mufasa dies. Without that moment, there's no story. According to The Anatomy of Story by John Truby, a good catalyst is essential for setting up the protagonist's transformation. The catalyst doesn't always need to be something tragic, but it should be significant enough to force a change. It should make your character choose between the easy path and the right one. The best catalysts leave your audience questioning what's going to happen next. They should shake up the status quo, pushing the protagonist into unknown territory. One trick is to make sure the catalyst doesn't come too early. If it happens too soon, the audience may not care. Let the tension build first, then hit them with the game changer. Chapter 5, The Echo. Using themes that resonate across time. A great story doesn't just end, it lingers. The theme is what ties everything together and gives your story depth. But how do you make sure your theme resonates long after the credits roll? One word: echoes. These are subtle repetitions or symbols that reinforce your main theme. For instance, The Great Gatsby uses the green light to symbolize Gatsby's unreachable dreams. Every time it appears, it deepens the theme of longing and unattainability. According to Story by Robert McKee, using echoes is an effective tool for creating a unified narrative. These symbolic echoes don't have to be in your face. They can be as simple as a recurring phrase or an object that holds deeper meaning. When done right, they create a web of connections that make your story feel more profound. Great stories weave these motifs into every scene, almost without the audience realizing it. Use echoes to keep your theme alive throughout the narrative. Think of the symbols that can be tied to your protagonist's journey. They should evolve with the story. Chapter 6, The Final Frame. Ending with impact. The end of your story is the most important part. A good ending doesn't just wrap things up, it adds a new layer to the entire narrative. It should make your audience reconsider what they just experienced. Think of Inception. The spinning top leaves the viewer questioning the entire story. It's a great example of a narrative that invites multiple interpretations. According to Save the Cat, by Blake Snyder, the ending should either resolve the main conflict or leave the audience with a sense of closure. But here's the catch: don't always tie things up neatly. Some stories benefit from leaving threads untied. Open-ended conclusions can keep the conversation going long after the story ends. Think about the end of The Sopranos. It's deliberately ambiguous, forcing the viewer to fill in the blanks. The final frame should reflect the transformation of your protagonist. If they've changed, the ending should show the difference in their world or in themselves. This final moment is your story's last chance to leave a lasting impact. If you enjoyed this guide, make sure to hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more storytelling tips and tricks. The world of story structure is vast, and there's always more to discover.